Now what happens is there's a graduating class, and in the graduating class, there's one person, and you're never going to be a receiver. So what I need you to do is go spend your days with the giver. And what the giver is going to do is periodically give you some information, like the giver, right? Taj. Periodically giving you information and taking you back into history and showing you stuff. So you go back into history and you see a murder, and you wake up like, what the f? Because all of that stuff is taken. Your mind is suppressed. You don't remember any of this. They deliver babies to people. They got a factory where they make. And they bring them. See how you're pregnant, right? Yeah, no, none of that. They bring you a baby and say, hey, here you go. That's your little boy. Nothing to do with you. This dude starts to open up that first eye, and he starts to see stuff. And he like, wait a minute, something ain't right. So what he does, instead of every day going to get that shot in his stomach, he put an apple over there, let the apple get the shot. So now his mind is starting to open up. I don't want to get the movie away too much, but trust me. Trust me.
It's good.
Trust me. Yo, trust me. Trust me. It's one of them. Yo, trust me, I didn't.
Nah.
I gave you a bit. Trust me. I gave you a bit, just enough, but it's in the movies, the giver.
They forced me to watch it. I don't regret it.
Listen, bro. Let me show you what they do. Let me show you what they do. They made it like that was a black and white love story. I mean, not black and white, like in the terms, connotative terms of black and white. The movie is in black and white. So it looked like an old black and white love story, like this guy's in love with this girl. So, who gonna want to go see it? Who care about this boy being in love with this girl in the black and white? Trust me, it's one of those. They put it out there, and they did like this one, right over everybody's head. If it wasn't for me coming out and just starting, I probably wouldn't watch it. They're giving you clues. Like I said, National Treasure, The Island of Dr. Moreau, The Planet of the Apes, The Giver, Avatar, all of these different movies. Even the Da Vinci Code.
Yep. They're telling me.
They tell me. Who?
Time
Runner?
Justin Timberlake.
I didn't see that, but if the brother say, if Joel say Time Runner, then Time Runner. It's right there. It's always right there in your face. It's just a matter of if you want to accept it. Right? Some people don't want to. Some people can't see it, and then some people don't want to see it. Right? You gotta be able to see, but at the same time, you gotta want to see it. It's frustrating at times because you see stuff that other people don't see, and at times you just gotta swallow it and you gotta grin and bear it because they don't know. Right? Listen, man, I barely can watch TV. I can't watch commercials. I see all kinds of stuff. I'm saying, listen. They got a movement called eugenics, and that's to them that's scientific racism, right? And they do stuff like there's a commercial on TV. See, I could be tripping. Maybe I see too much stuff, but this is what I saw. There's a European dude in a minivan with his little boy in the back, and they got TVs in the headrest. And they talking about how nice this van is, and it's got TVs, and you need to upgrade, right? And then they show the brother with his little boy in the back seat, and he taking a cell phone to the headrest. Maybe I see something that other people don't, but I see the images that they putting out there. Right? When I'm riding up and down the highway, and I see the FBI billboards, the digital billboards, and it's always got somebody's face look like mine talking about murder and robbery and assault and battery and drugs and all that stuff. Hey, listen, these Albions ain't commit no crimes.
Yeah, right.
Go look at the top 10. FBI's top 10. Ain't none of us on there. But it's always us on the billboards.
They just be pointing. They just be pointing.
Psychological prints, right? Psychological prints. But and see, this is you gotta remember. See, the babies they see this stuff. So when the babies see it, every time they ride by, they see the billboard. They say, "Man,
That's what we're supposed to do.
that's what they see, right?" What else they want to know?
We're supposed to do something.
What else they want to know? If that's all they see growing up. It's up to us, like Ty said, the mothers gotta get this. When the mothers get it, babies get it. If all of our mothers knew about Moorish science, well, we come out the womb with fezzes on. We come out the womb with turbans on.
You got that right.
I have a question before we get out of here. How many of y'all would be interested in starting a school? A school. Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you all this before I get out of here. It's time to put me to work. I wasn't planning on much. It's not family. A few years ago, we talked about getting a school started. Probably about 2 years ago. And what we talked about was getting container trailers and modifying them. You can go on YouTube and you can see people getting container trailers, they turning them into homes, they turning them into businesses, they turning them into this, they turning them into that. I just acquired our first trailer, y'all. I just acquired. I acquired it. But it's for us. So in a matter of a couple months, we're going to acquire the second one. We're in the process right now of finding a lot so we can set up shop. I got 2 master builders in the room. I ain't gonna point them out, but get ready because we got work to do. We're gonna turn these trailers. We got you building too? Yeah, we're gonna get a brother a hammer.
Concrete, you'll see.
We're gonna get a brother a hammer. Listen. I got a phone call. Well, I got a text message 3 weeks ago. Usually, I send out a group text for the York House, and it's usually 20 people in each text. A brother responded to the group text, and the response was, Islam, brother, forgive me for missing class Saturday, but I had an urgent family matter. The urgent family matter was that his 4-year-old daughter had gotten molested that Friday at school. A 5-year-old boy had taken her in the coat closet and pulled down her pants and her panties and touched her. Now, the problem is that he did that, but the bigger problem is that he knew to do that.
Right.
So that means that he either sees it or it's either being done to him.
Uh-oh.
Right? So, Mother Rosemary Bey was included in that group text, so she saw that text. So me and her shared a private text, and I told her my thoughts about the trailer. And she just got excited. And she said, it's gotta be a community effort, meaning I can't do it.
By yourself.
Meaning I need y'all. Right? Keep this in mind, y'all. I don't have no babies. I don't have any children. But I know some of y'all do. So I ain't building a school for me. And I ain't building a school for my babies. I'm building a school for our babies. We start off small, and then we humbly grow. If y'all in, let's get it cracking. If not, stand back and watch, and y'all see a finished project. But we talked about it a couple years ago, and all things in time. It's a time and place for everything under the sun. And the time is now. So that's what it is. We're gonna get that school together for these babies. So when that baby comes out, we got to wait for that baby to go. Because we can't stop in Philly. We down here in the Delaware territory, so we gotta come to Delaware and we gotta make it happen too. We gotta crawl before we walk. So when that baby comes out, you gotta know that baby gonna have no balance. Gonna sit up, his head gonna be too heavy for his body, and he gonna fall over. And then he's gonna learn to sit up. And then once he sits up, he's gonna get on the floor. And he's gonna wanna crawl, and then after a while, he's gonna try to test his balance. And then he'll be able to stand up, and then he'll be able to walk. That's the same process we gotta take. Right now, we sitting there trying to get our balance. We get our balance, we get that building together. We get 1, we get 2, we get 3, we get 30. Y'all with me?
Yes.
Islam.
Read this paragraph in support of the Pope's letter,
Nah,
that middle
nah.
paragraph.
Read what?
Prior.
Prior to
This is
19...
from House Joint Resolution 192, Florida House of Representatives. James Tropicant, representative for Ohio, speaking.
Prior to 1913, most Americans owned clear, allodial title to property, free and clear of any liens or mortgages until the Federal Reserve Act 1913 hypothecated all property within the federal United States to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, in which the trustees, stockholders, held legal title. The U.S. citizen, tenant, franchisee was registered as beneficiary to the trust, by way of his or her birth certificate. In 1933, the federal United States hypothecated all of the present and future properties, assets, and labor of their subjects. The 14th Amendment, U.S. citizen to the Federal Reserve System.
Now take that back to Pope Francis' letter, and he's talking about this whole foundation of this fraud that we're dealing with today has this foundation 150 years ago when the African American was used to back the U.S. government debt. That's where hypothecated comes in. And as you can see, as we talked about when we showed you the example of D's allodial title, prior to 1913, Americans own clear allodial title, and you find that the majority of people not only never heard of it, all they know is the deeds, and that's all that they've been hearing about, but that's actually a fraud. And this is where they've been hypothecating our estate and then converting the debt onto us, etc. This is why when people get pieces of this information, they're trying to authenticate the birth certificate, which is really a weak argument, because they got to go back to this foundation.
So can we talk about authentication for a while?
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about authentication?
Well, yes.
Okay. So I guess authentication became popular probably like a year and a half ago. Maybe close to 2 years, something like that.
Yeah, after they ran through the UCCs and that wasn't working for them.
All right, so when I learned about birth certificate authentication, I said, all right, cool. I'm gonna go and check this thing out. So in the corporate state of Pennsylvania, I went to what they call the state capital, Harrisburg. And the process is this. You get that birth certificate and you have to go to the Attorney General's office or the state's attorney, and you have to get an apostille, or what they call authentication. So when you go, they're going to ask you, why do you need this authenticated? And you have to tell them that you're traveling to something like a non-Geneva Convention nation. And the first one on the list is Antigua. So that's the one I used, Antigua. And once you get that, then you have to take it to the federal level and get it authenticated. And then the step after that is to get a UCC-1 and put a lien against the birth certificate. Now, after I did that, I literally did like this. And I called Taj when I was on the way out there, told him what I was going to do. He said, all right. I came out, I told him, I said, I pulled it out of my pocket, and I said, what the hell did you do that for? You just went in there. Now, you got this name declaration, and you got this judicial proclamation that says, I just gave that back. That corporate entity that's in all capital letters, that's not me. That nom de guerre, I gave that back. That European name, I gave that back. And then I turned around and took the very document that gave me that all capital letter name and went in this building and said, here, can you authenticate? Look up authenticate. Can you authenticate that for me? Can you take this document that I said is fraudulent and make it real? And you authenticate something, you give it credence. When you give it credence, you say it's real. You just, now didn't you just take 7 or 8 copies of this and send it to all these, the U.S. Department of State, the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland, and you said that wasn't you. And now you're going to take the same very document and authenticate it? Now let's go past there to the UCC1 and becoming a holder in due course. If you know anything about contract law, you can't say you're the holder in due course of a thing unless you have the original thing.
Exactly.
Where's the original birth certificate at? New York.
Exactly.
Tucked away?
Exactly.
So how can you put a UCC1 lien on a copy and say that you are now the holder in due course of that said document?
Right.
You cannot. It's just like Todd said, you're buying time.
And do they
Now-
charge you for that?
Yeah, you got
That's
they
what
charge
they
for
about.
everything.
That's what they about.
They charge you for air.
That's their work, your money.
Islam.
Islam. What I notice when I listen to the blog talks, when the commercial comes on, there's a European lady. All she's doing is talking about how to authenticate the birth certificate. So now, if you go to listen to, one of our shows, they want to confuse you and lead you into thinking that you got to authenticate the birth certificate. And it's crazy. It's like, we know, because it's very subliminal, we know that. But if you don't know, and you think that that's something to do, you can get caught out there. Because she's, gradually showing you how to do it. And it's like on all the time. Even while you waiting for the show, while even before you listen to the show, it's like on all the time. So it's funny to me though. That's all. I just wanted to put that out there.
So what happens later on when they call you with it? Who are you? Because at first you said, I'm not that all capital letter name.
Right.
I'm so-and-so Bay. And then you, so-and-so Bay, take this document that made you Sasquatch Jones in the first place, and you get it authenticated twice. Not once, twice.
Yeah.
On two different levels, on the corporate state level and the corporate federal level. And you get it authenticated twice. And then you're going to go and put a lien on a copy. Now, you're the same dude that decided to challenge your mortgage. And you got mad at the mortgage company because they couldn't present the original promissory note and deed of trust. They sent you a copy. And you said the copy is not sufficient.
Which makes it a fraud anyway.
So why is the copy of the birth certificate sufficient for you to put a UCC1 lien on it?
It isn't.
But that's the people not thinking like that. They're thinking because they're trying to get some kind of benefit and they're trying to get some little bit of finance that they may be able to, I can use the birth certificate to get, okay. Have fun. But when they come knocking on your door and they say you committed fraud because you said you was him and then you said you was him and you collected a benefit being him, now you want to go back to being him. You just committed fraud.
Right. You set your own entrapment.
Exactly.
I mean,
And you let them off the hook.
Yeah, exactly.
as opposed to just proclaiming and declaring nationality and being who you are. We are who we are. We are who we are. The problem is too many people running around chasing pipe dreams, listening to other people, and the thing is this, they charging people all kinds of crazy finance to do this. You can do it yourself. If you want to do it yourself. The problem is too many people are lazy. Too many people don't want to put in no work, and they don't want to put in, listen. There's a brother out there, I didn't want to mention his name, there's no need. But the word is, he's getting people locked up. No, he ain't getting people locked up. If I sell you something, say that, and you buy it, and you don't check it out, and you don't read it, you just do what I said do, you got you locked up. I ain't get you locked up. So, for people who might be watching Facebook Live, y'all probably know who I'm talking about. Stop pointing fingers. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Study. If you don't want to study, then just be. It's just real simple. If you don't want to study, then just be. Stop trying to do all of this other shit. And just be. Proclaim and declare your nationality and live your life. Don't argue with the electric company. Don't argue with the parking authority. You get a ticket paid. If you don't want to study, don't study. But if you don't do anything, proclaim and declare your nationality. Give up on the pipe dreams. The pipe dreams ain't gonna get you nowhere but headaches. You're gonna feel like you've been beat with a pipe. Give up on the pipe dreams. Proclaim and declare your nationality, be who you are, and just live your life. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm done. You got anything
But
else?
doing so, you're actually liberating the generations to come, because it is actually we who have actually been agreeing to and thus casting the spells. And this is where Drawley said, I want active Moors, not passive Moors. Why? Because passive Moors have a tendency to become enemies to their own cause of uplifting their own people. Because it's about estate, and when you do not speak up, it's abandonment. And so the problem continues. And so we're perpetrating or practicing those things that delude to slavery. That's what that complaint is. But if people don't know the history, they don't recognize that they're being irresponsible. They think that, because they care or that they're interested, that represents responsibility. No, proclamation. That's why he says, I want brave men and women who think that things can be made better.
Brother got a question.
Just injecting on what you was talking about as far as the authenticating documents and stuff like that. I was in the doctor's office with my mom the other day, and sometimes I just go off my mind, just be wondering, Googling on my phone and stuff. So I would just be like, do lawyers have to have a license to practice law?
There ain't no such thing as a license to practice law.
So I Googled it, and I just was doing research and looking at this, check to see what it will pop up. But everybody said, no, Google it. And then it talk about the apostasy, about the raised seal, all that, how it started to into like a little bit of the history on how that came about and how they got past the prison bar and how they went on to the Moorish and all this kind of stuff. I didn't really get to finish it because it was like, that it was just something I got to go back on and do some research on.
So the bar is the British Accredited Registry, right? It's a club, right? There's no license to practice law, right? You are all law. The people, it's the people. I mean, you listen. An attorney represents one who can't represent themselves, right? Now, when you're in the corporate status, when you're in the dead status, a dead man can't talk. When you're black, you civil little mortus. Go into the law dictionary and find out what that means. It means civilly dead, dead in the view of the law. So you need that attorney to represent you. So they're just part of an association, a club that represents people who can't represent themselves. That's why when you got an attorney, what do? You sit there and you shut the hell up. You just sit there. He stands up and he say, well, Sasquatch Jones right here, he can't spell his name and he can't do nothing else for himself, so I got his back. It's now, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, what they're told to do, then what happened? What they call it? Unbarred, misbarred, disbarred, something.
Not following proper procedure.
But they get kicked off the bar,
Exactly.
right? You get kicked out the club because you ain't following protocol. But there's no such thing as a license to practice law. I was in the courtroom with family about a year ago. Now I wasn't practicing law, but I was accused of practicing law. What I was doing was this. Well, it says right here that this, that, and the third, and this, that, and the third, and right over here it says this, and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, well, this says that. My man said, objection. He's practicing law. I said, I'm not practicing law. I'm simply reading what's on his page.
Right.
Magistrate started giggling because he knew I was telling the truth. I'm not practicing. How can you practice law? How can you practice law? Right? So I kept on going on and on. I swear, this dude had to be fresh out of law school. He couldn't deal with me. Right? He over there throwing hissy fits and carrying on. So the magistrate said, listen, because you don't have a license to practice law in this corporate state, then I can't let you stand there and do that. No problem. He said, but you can sit down and be called as a witness. Same thing. No need to argue. No problem. I'll sit right here and when I'm called, I'm gonna come back up here and read the same stuff that I was reading off the same piece of paper. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, see, listen. That's why it's important to study. That's why it's important to be able to comprehend the little small stuff. Because he ain't got a license. He said, I don't have a license to practice law, neither do you, chump. You're part of a club. I could be part of a motorcycle club. I mean, so what's the big deal? You're part of a club, I'm part of a club. That's why it's important to study, so you can just clearly be able to comprehend small stuff like that. Because some people might have folded when he said he's over there practicing law. No, I'm not. I'm not practicing law. Not at all. I'm simply reading. And that's all we're asking people to do, is a little bit of reading. Spend a little bit of time. And just do a little bit of reading, a little bit of studying, and just watch how the light bulbs start to just click on. And then you just be walking down the street and people will be speaking to you. Why? Because it's just a glow around you. Because you know who the hell you are.
Who the hell they ain't.
That's right. Indeed. Anything else?
Real quick, I have another scenario. The second one. So, I'm in a class with a bunch of other Moors trying to, get our concept straight. And there was a scenario that he said that he went into court or a tribunal, and he was sitting there. It was one of the open ones, the open hearings, and there was an attorney there representing someone else. I believe it was a public defender, and it was his turn to represent the individual. The attorney went up to the judge and said, the defendant is guilty of all charges. Will proceed at a later date. So he was there supposedly to defend the individual, but said he was guilty and didn't even try to fight.
Right.
So they paid him to get him locked up.
We gotta know what leave is,
Right.
and that they're members.
They're officers of the court.
Right.
Exactly.
And the Zodiac Constitution says what? What occurs when you hire one of them?
You be represented.
Give them your birthright.
Exactly.
That's all.
That's fine.
So just in to what you just said, imagine if I go outside and I punch somebody in the face,
Right.
and they come in here and tell you, "Said, bro, punch me in my face." What you gonna do? Same thing. So you go get somebody that works with somebody and get them to try to take your side against the people they work with.
Ain't gonna happen.
Our people our people's concepts are wrong and they're off, but you gotta keep in mind is learned behavior. Because when somebody gives birth, they automatically think they gotta get a birth certificate. When somebody gets in trouble, they automatically think they gotta get an attorney.
Because they're trained.
Because they're trained, right? But if people understood law, more people probably would go in and represent themselves.
Present.
You're right, I'm sorry. Present themselves, forgive me. Thanks, D. More people will go and present themselves. Hey, I want special presentation for this corporate entity that you think. Because that's all the attorney's gonna do. I'm here representing this cat right here, because he's dead in the view of the law, he can't talk.
His lunchbox, he can't talk.
I just wanted to, ask about this whole thing with Wells Fargo, that was just in the news that a whole lot of their employees had, on these bogus accounts and put all these credit cards, and does that have anything to do with this whole collapse?
I ain't heard nothing about Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
You know something about Wells Fargo?
Yeah, he got fined.
Yeah, it was,
Got a heavy stiff fine.
because they was, using people, just anybody's name number, opening up all these accounts, and they found out about it, talking about it.
Yeah, against their clients.
So obviously, I heard that was, some of the collapse that was going to take place, because
Put it on the mic so her
Billions
voice is
of
soft, we
dollars.
can.
Yeah, it was just in the news last week, because that's what my mother was like, that's your bank, that's your bank. I said, well, I don't know anything about it. But the employees were opening up credit cards, just using people's name, thousands and thousands of notes. And so I said, well, maybe this is the part of the collapsing of the economy, because they, where did it go? Who's it used?
Is that in the paper or something?
Gonna be charged for this.
I don't know about
Is that in the paper or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It was 5,300, yeah, they fired 5,300 employees.
52 people, you gotta realize that it's a joint effort.
Well, yeah, you know they did. They-
That's
Is that it? Is that it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
Islam family.
Islam.
Islam.